Oh, man, I am fired up.
Yeah? Wow.
Yeah, I'm just excited. I
good.
love hanging out with you, and I love, hanging out with you. And welcome to another edition of What's Good with John and Joyce.
John and Joyce.
It's our 30 minutes each and every week where you can get away from all the BS and all the negativity out there in the world and just kind of, okay, there's a place I can go to for a little respite,
little
little
escape
escape.
tonight then.
Yeah, are you
I'm
going
going
to
to say, yeah, because I like this place.
I know.
I feel very mellow today.
I do. I know.
You're fired up.
Yeah,
I'm more
probably because
chill.
I worked out, got the endorphins going.
Oh, you bragger. Yes. He's showing off again.
But you like to work out at night, don't you?
I work out at night.
And I work out first thing in the morning.
Yeah. No, I am brain dead in the morning.
I'm brain dead all the time. Don't you agree with that now? My wife's going, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, mornings are rough.
Yeah.
No, I wake up, my hair is all sticking up.
Right.
I don't know where I am.
You're still adorable, Joyce. Come on now.
No, at nighttime, I'm all fired up. You guys are going to bed.
Right.
And I'm like,
I remember the days, when I would rock and roll all night, like the song by Kiss. Rocking and party every day. You'd be out till 1, 2 in the morning, and then wake up a few hours later, go to work, and actually still perform your duties and do well. It doesn't work so much nowadays.
I think it's because we get smarter.
Yeah, we do.
You know something? I never liked going to clubs ever because you had to scream to hear.
Oh,
See,
yes.
I liked conversations.
Right.
I wanted to speak with people. And I was like, what?
Like, hey, Joyce,
What?
what's going on today? Oh, sorry about that, Stefania. In the back in the director's room back there.
Yeah, no, I never enjoyed that. I guess I was always the chatter.
Right. Yeah, I like to talk to people.
Instead of the drinker dancer.
Being in the radio biz and performing with the DJ biz, I was always in clubs. Back in the early days, I was in clubs all the time. And you're right.
You had to be.
I had to be in clubs, but I didn't really enjoy going to a club as much because, like you, I like to be able to have a conversation.
Right.
Concerts I like going to, like a hall, like some of the theaters around here I like, but the club ambiance is a little bit different. But
does that affect your hearing though?
Interesting to say that. My hearing is actually, I don't know how this happens, but it seems to have gotten better.
Oh, good.
I mean, I could be doing a DJ gig, Joyce, and people could be talking on the floor, and I hear everything they're saying. And then I get on the microphone and said, I heard that. How did he hear that?
Wow.
Right.
You could be hired for espionage or
That's
something.
Right. That's right. I got my shoe phone and everything. Maxwell Smart.
Wow. That goes way back.
It does.
That's funny.
Jeez. Oh, man. So what are we talking about today, Joyce? I think about starving your fears, huh?
Yeah, we are going to talk about that today because it's actually very
based on your book. I mean, why don't you hold up that book so people can see it? You need to get this book if you don't have it already.
Yeah, I wrote this book for all of us. I wrote it, a few years ago. I think just before COVID. But the reason why I wanted to write that book is because there's a lot of books that's been written about anxiety and stress. And some of it gets very technical, about how the brain works and all that, which is fine. But I felt that I was coming from a different place because I lived this. And first of all, I lived it with my mom, and I didn't know that she had agoraphobia, and I don't even know that they used that word back then.
What does that mean? The definition?
Well, the definition really comes from the Greek word meaning fear of the marketplace. But it's not really the fear of going out or the fear of socializing. It could be that you're having panic attacks while you're sitting at home.
Yeah. It's
really a misfiring of your, like what makes you anxious. It's the, the cortisol, the adrenaline, and sometimes with some people they're just here's the good news about it. The good news is highly creative people get this.
Right.
And your brain sometimes is working on overload, and you're very fast to do things. I was always like a fast walker or a fast talker or whatever. But everyone's different. It's sort of like the thumbprint. Everyone can experience it differently. As an example, my mother always had this, did not know she had it. She was a great mom because she was home. Mm-hmm. She didn't drive because she was afraid to drive. And she baked. So she taught me how to bake. and make
This
candies.
woman is like the best baker on the planet.
No. I always reserve that for my sister. No, she really got that baking gene. But I just love to do it. So my mother was very nurturing that way. But there were times as a teenager, especially, I was very upset with her that she wasn't doing certain things, and I didn't know that it was because of that. Then in my early 20s, I was walking into what is now like Big Y in Branford, and suddenly it just looked like the floor was tilting, and I felt like my heart began to race, like I was going to faint. I didn't know what was happening to me. And make a long story short, I began having panic attacks. And I didn't know how to really deal with this. My mother sought help for herself, but her doctor at the time said, quote, "What you need is a kick in the ass.
Okay.
And you need to go out and get a job." Well, she could barely leave her house.
So many people would just poo-poo it back in the day, like, suck it up type
Suck
thing.
it up.
But this is
Suck it
a
up.
real
This is
serious situation.
This is a very serious situation when you don't know how to deal with it. When you realize what it is and you accept it, it becomes easier. So I packed a bag and I made an appointment to see a psychiatrist. And my sister drove me to the psychiatrist in New Haven, Connecticut. And I thought, he's going to put me in the mental ward because I can't work. I could barely go out and get my mail. I feel like I'm going to die, but my heart's okay. I've been checked out. And I told him my whole story, and he said, "You are suffering with a generalized anxiety disorder." And he said, "And you have one of the best therapists for this in your own backyard at the Branford Counseling Center." And even though it was a weight off of my shoulders that I didn't have to be institutionalized, I was still dealing with it. Certain people, when they hear that, they think they're better. Oh, I can deal with this now. But it wasn't going away. So I worked with this counselor for many years, and she would say to me, acceptance. And it wasn't really seeping in that this may never go away until you stop feeding it your fear of it. The moment you start to feel that feeling, and if anyone out there has an anxiety disorder, you'll understand that you would rather have a broken leg or broken arm because people could see it and sympathize with it. But when they can't see it and you look normal,
right,
and you're always polite and you leave like a meeting and say, "Oh, excuse me, I have to leave," they don't know what you're really going through inside, and it's difficult to explain it. I think it's a little easier now to talk about it, but it's different from just saying, "I'm stressful." This is a panicky feeling that makes you feel like you're dying.
And this is a lot more common than people think, isn't it?
Yes.
Especially in this day and age.
Yes, it's millions of people really, really suffer
Silently
with
suffering.
this. Absolutely. So I went through all kinds of therapy, and it's in this book.
Starving your fears. Like you said, don't feed the fear, starve the fear. That was a great piece of advice.
You starve the fear. But first I went on my road of I'm going to, and I'm not putting down crystals and things like that. Everything has their place. But I was looking for a magic cure. And a lot of people told me they had the magic cure. And whether it was a chiropractor that was going to adjust my neck to either lying on crystal beds or whatever, I was waiting for the miracle because I wasn't understanding what my therapist had told me. Acceptance.
Yes.
I just wanted it to go away, to end. So one day, I said to my husband, "I really want to drive. I want to get out there and drive, but follow me because I'll feel comfortable." And I was going through a really bad time. And so he did. And I thought, oh, this is good. I'm comfortable that he's following me. And guess what? I had the biggest panic attack of all time.
Wow.
My hands were soaked. My hands were on the wheel. I couldn't feel them. They were like vibrating.
Now you were on
so
a side
much.
road, I hope, and not a highway.
I wasn't on the highway. No, no.
Pull over.
Yes,
Okay,
I always
good.
had to know that I was on a side road that I could pull over. But this is where the magic happened, and this is where it was the beginning of the end, and for me, really understanding. I heard her say in my head, "You have to accept this." So while I'm driving now super slow, I began to say to myself, instead of saying, "Oh my God, this is happening again. I can't believe this. He's behind me." No, I shut that down and I said, "Isn't this interesting what my body can do? Isn't this interesting?" And I watched my hands were like shaking on the wheel because I was hyperventilating. Yeah. And I began to watch my body calm down. And I did the breathing techniques that I was taught. And I saw, oh, I can control this. I don't have to feed this fear. And it was in that moment that everything changed for me. But I also remembered my mother saying, my mother had feared suddenly dying and leaving her kids and my father not being home. She had a lot of fears like that. So one day, the thing she feared the most happened. At 52 years old, she had a heart attack. And I remember visiting her in the hospital. And she said to me, "If I live through this, when I come out, I'm going to live. I'm going to really live." And when she got out of that hospital, she was in the best shape of her life. She never walked alone, but she began walking for her heart. She began eating differently. She began thinking differently.
Whole new lease on life.
And in this book, there's a picture of my mom and dad getting on a plane to go to Las Vegas.
And she never flew, right?
No, she couldn't even look at an airport.
And she looked I remember seeing that picture, the big smile on her face. She was ecstatic.
So later on, when I would call home, my mom always answered the phone. I remember my dad answering the phone. And I said, "Where's Mom?" And he said, "Oh, she's out gallivanting." And I thought, wow, this is a woman who couldn't drive unless she was with other people. And she couldn't do, there's so many things that she couldn't do. You know, she was in this prison because she really didn't have the help. But she began reading a lot of books. I remember one of her first books was Norman Vincent Peale's.
Oh, sure.
And so she would pass down these books to me.
The Power of Positive Thinking.
All of that. And she shared with me that she couldn't go into a store because if you're waiting in line and you're paying, or you're next up at the bank teller, you have this claustrophobic feeling like, oh my gosh, what if I can't stand here and pay? What if I have to leave and then leave the money on the counter?
People behind me. Where do I go?
Everyone's going to be looking at me. What am I going to do? She had those racing thoughts, and that happened to her when she was in a little store. And she left whatever she was going to buy on the counter, and she went out of the store, and she felt, oh. And then she said to herself, wait a minute. This must be my mind, because I'm the same person standing outside the store that I was standing at that counter. So nothing really changed. So my thoughts have changed. I mean, she learned everything the hard way.
That's really good deductive thinking.
Yes. And she was a very wise woman. So she passed a lot of that on to me. And in this book, I feel like I've been your guinea pig. I have gone through it all.
So you don't have to.
Yes, I don't want anyone to suffer like this. Right. I don't. And someone in the family had called me not too long ago and said that they were going through this. And they apologized because they never understood what my mother went through and what I went through. until they went through it. And they said, people really don't get this. And it's that story, unless you walk a mile in your shoes, you don't really know. But you don't want to be walking a mile in everybody's shoes and feel everything.
Yes.
But just know that you're not alone. You're not alone when you feel anxiety and you feel stress and you have worrisome thoughts that get out of control, like you feel like you can't stop them. So in this book is to tell you that you have way more control than what
we do have dominion
think.
over our body.
We do.
And what we think.
We do.
But sometimes you just need a little push.
Sometimes you need to walk through the wave coming at you and know it's going to pass by.
Right.
And everything's going to be calm on the other side. When you lose the fear, and that's why I called it starving your fears. If you don't feed a plant, it's going to die.
Right.
And we're the same way. Don't keep feeding what you fear. So if the news bothers you, don't watch the news. Right. You don't need to watch the news. Channel. People will tell you if something bad is happening in your neighborhood that you have to get out.
Oh, people love to gossip. Yeah. they'll tell you, let you know. Did you hear that so-and-so? People love that, don't they?
Yeah. But we want to change the world so people talk about what's good in their life.
That's right.
And when you start to talk about, you start to think about what are the good things that happened in your life. Don't focus on I had a terrible childhood and if it weren't for this or that. No. You are where you are right now. Right. And right now, you could start a fabulous life.
Just like your mom did.
That was a mindset. This woman, I'm telling you, couldn't do anything. She left that hospital, and that wasn't her first plane ride. She went on many plane rides
and with the anxiety
that.
Before thinking about, passing away, and then she had that heart attack at 52.
Yeah.
She had a new lease, and she started thinking differently. And her life
You know what
changed.
she did? She looked fear in the face.
Right.
And she said, I'm not afraid of you anymore.
Dove into that wave, like you said.
Yes.
Walk into the wave.
Yes. And some people, because I've dealt with hundreds and hundreds of people with this, they will be so disappointed when they get a panic attack after they've tried things. I said, no, that's a good thing. This is your time to practice because that feeling may never go away. Your body may always be like, geared to sending out more adrenaline than other people. You just have to look at it like, I'm just going to practice through this and look at it and say, you know what? I've been here before. You go away. Right. And it does go away, but don't give it credibility. And here's a good trick. And I know we've talked about this before, but I could talk about it every day.
Enough, I'm sure.
Right.
Yep.
Your breath. It's all in your breath. The moment you start breathing like this, you just sent, and I just sent a message to my brain that I'm in trouble. So we automatically go into the fight or flight.
Yes.
But back in the caveman days, when you had that adrenaline rush, you had it for a reason because you were supposed to run or beat the hell out of somebody. So because we're not doing that today, hopefully.
You're either going to get food or be food back then.
Exactly. So while you're sitting at your computer or you're in bed even watching a movie, whatever, and you get that panic feeling, your brain is thinking, do something. It's telling you to do something. And when you don't do anything but like say, oh my God, what's happening? It pumps out more. Mm-hmm. It's like, why isn't Joyce running? Why isn't Joyce beating somebody up? So it just exacerbates what's happening within you. But the moment, and I'm talking nanosecond, you get breath down into your belly and you do diaphragmatic breathing, you send a message to your brain that you're okay. And you can't have an anxiety attack. It's impossible because your brain has shut all those valves off for you. Now, you can get right back into the panic mode again, but learn to breathe diaphragmatically. And I always like to give people the vision of thinking of a toddler standing there, a little diaper on, and they got that rounded belly.
Yes.
And they're breathing with their belly. I mean, watch them. The moment they get stressed, They're up here crying.
Yeah.
A dog, a cat is the same way. When they're just stretched out, they're belly breathing. But if they're stressed, they're barking and meowing from up here. We're meant to be breathing through the belly area. And only when we're speaking, even when you're speaking, though, you can train yourself to, because I do that, to belly breathe.
As a singer.
Yes.
A singer.
Yes.
When you're out there doing public speaking, whatever, you're using that diaphragm. Good posture. Yes. Shoulders back.
Yes. And the biggest trick I learned, it was through a wonderful book about breath work. I wish I could remember the author of it. But they said that your nose is designed to breathe, because of the hairs in our nose and everything. It captures the dust, the mites, and everything. Yeah. Right. So when you close off one nostril, take in a deep breath. Even if you're in your car, you could do this. I do this in traffic. It automatically makes you breathe diaphragmatically. And then exhale through the nostril also. Some people like to take the breath in and go, on the way out. That's fine too. But if you can do it, just, you just lean like this and, take the breath in, breath out, like alternate 3 times. You will calm your body. It's like a miracle, because you are a miracle. Your brain is a miracle.
And I do the same thing every morning along with my workout in the morning, like a little core Pilates yoga exercises in the morning. And I spend time breathing.
Yes.
Just breathing in through my nose, like you were saying, alternate this and that. And then maybe after every 30 times, I'll breathe in real deep and hold it for as long as I can.
Yes.
And I go out slowly.
Yes.
And any kind of stress is gone. You can't help but feel good.
Yeah.
Because the more oxygen you have in your body, the less chance of disease.
Yes.
Because there's more ease. Disease means lack of ease. The more ease you have in the body, oxygen, the more oxygen you have in your body, the less apt you're going to have disease.
Yeah.
So breathing is extraordinarily important.
And people forget to breathe.
They do.
You don't realize times that you're holding your breath, you're breathing very shallow.
As people you're so right, though. As people are over 30, 35 years old, too, they get less and less oxygen in their body because they're not sprinting. They're not running as much anymore.
Yes.
They're not exercising as much.
Yes.
They're becoming more lethargic. And that's a dangerous situation. You want to continually expand those lungs and get air in your body. Yeah. And exercise. It's really, really important.
Is key.
And
it's
breathing
so
in
key.
And getting that air in the body.
Even if you could just walk a little slowly. There's a saying that, let's see, if you're lying down, but you can stand up, stand up. If you're sitting, stand up. If you can walk, walk. If you can then put it in a faster walk, do that. Because what happens when you exercise in any form, you're actually telling your brain, your body, that you're alive.
Yes.
And your body responds to that, almost like saying, oh, John wants to live.
Yes.
Let's help him live.
Right.
But when you just let go and you think, I'm too old or I'm too sick, whatever, your body responds to that also and says, oh, they're too old and too sick.
And you're prophesizing your future with that, too.
You are.
And the thing is, we really are, it sounds cliche, but we really are ageless.
Yes.
Because, I know people that are 20 who are old by the way they think.
Yes.
Oh, I'm so old now. I was a guy at the gym the other day. Can't do what I used to do. I'm 30 years old now. And I'm thinking to myself, what are you talking? You know who you're talking to? Come on.
Yes.
But we do kind of like manifest what we say and what we think.
I've watched people prophesize that. And from years ago, they would say, now I'm not going to be able to do this. And they don't.
Right.
And now I can't do this. And then I look at them today and I think, I may be aging, but I'm not aging like that. Right. It's like...
No, you know what? We are not aging. We are youthing.
We're youthing.
We are youthing.
We're not euthanizing, are we?
No. That's a whole different show. But we are youthing, not aging.
We are youthing. Yes. We are We are anti-agers.
That's right.
If we're anti-anything, it's
Exactly. That's right. That's right.
because it is a mindset. It is. That's saying you're as young as you feel.
And we're going
right?
to go out kicking and screaming.
You betcha.
No matter
you
what, we're
betcha,
kicking and
baby.
screaming. So are you.
Yes.
We believe in you.
Yes. So just know that you have more power than you know. It's in your breath. It's in the way you think. And life is good.
It is
If
good.
you're listening to us right now, you have ears to hear. Maybe you have eyes to see. Maybe you could walk or you could talk. Focus on what's good in your body, what's good in your life, and know that nothing bad is going to last forever unless you make it. That's
What do they
your
say?
story.
95, 96% of what you worry about never comes to fruition anyway.
Right.
We let fear take over. And my whole motto is faith over fear. That's always been my motto, faith over fear. So again, starving those fears and just feeding our faith, feeding positive. A lot of us have things in our life that we'd like to change, but I'm going to focus on the things that I like, that are good in my life.
Right.
It's too easy to go down the route, oh, I wish I had this, or I wish I had that. No. It's okay to want things, but as I get older too, I think more and more about experiences and friendships more than things.
But the more you appreciate what you have right now, you may see those things that you do want.
You may, and the more grateful you're about things, the more good's going to come into your life.
Yeah, always. So we wish that for you. Breathe.
Relax. Smile.
Let me just say
Smile.
this. When you think of your body like a Raggedy Ann or Andy doll, just sitting there limp like this, you can't have a panic attack because you're diaphragmatically breathing when you do that.
Right.
So think of yourself as limp and loose and happy, and life will be better.
So if somebody calls you a Raggedy Ann, it's a compliment.
It is a compliment, yes. And go. My book, Starving Your Fears, you can get it on Kindle, whatever, for literally pennies. So I highly recommend it.
Can they get it on Amazon?
Yeah, it's all on. It's all on Amazon.
I know when it first came out, it was #1 on Amazon for like 13 straight weeks.
Wow, thank you.
See, I'm manifesting that.
Jeez, okay. But I just want you to know, I have stories where the people that I've worked with and how they came out of their fears. I think it's
a great
really,
read.
I think it's an easy read, and every page there's going to be something or quote on here
I like
that
all
will
the
really
pictures
speak
in
to
there
you.
too.
So, which my husband took these pictures means a lot. That meant a lot to me.
And plus, at the outset of the show, you were saying there have been books written about this, but they've been so technical.
Yeah, this is just homespun, like you're sitting having a conversation
and I like
with
that
me.
Because the average everyday person can understand this,
and
doesn't have to
I
be a rocket
lived
scientist.
it. I lived it. I'm not talking about someone who. Yeah, I mean, let me just say also this: the therapist that I saw said she could understand what I was going through because she once had a panic attack. And I said, "What happened?" She said, "Well, it was my first time flying solo, and it looked like I was running out of gas. And it's like, get out of here." I said, "Anyone would have a panic attack.
Right.
You're flying solo." I said, "No." I said, "You don't understand. These are panic attacks while you're sitting home watching TV or you're at work at your desk."
Yeah.
And that's what made me want to write this book from someone who lived it. Anyway, that's enough.
Yeah.
I talked about that.
No. I think that's great. I really do. But there is hope for you. I mean, people, like we talk about all the time, don't want to feel like they're alone. They feel like, is this really just happening to me? No, there's a lot of people that deal with this.
Yeah, and they don't know how to express it. Like I said, you get sympathy with a broken arm because people could see it. But if they can't see the amount of angst over the stress that you're living,
right,
they don't understand it. Like the doctor said to my mother, just go get a job. Just get.
I went out to coffee recently with a gentleman who's a dear friend of mine who's really suffering from major anxiety on so many levels. He wanted to be heard. I just sat down with him, listened to him, let him talk, didn't poo-poo anything he was saying. I said, "Listen, man, this is a free place. This is a judgment-free zone," kind of like Planet Fitness, right?
Yeah.
And you could talk to me and say anything to me, and it's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
Because I always tell people, if you tell me something and say, "I want this to be in confidence," I will always say, "This is only between me and my wife."
Right.
Because my wife and I are one. And they always, we expect that.
Right.
And so that's where it goes.
Yes.
But that's as far as it goes. And they know that they're not being judged.
Right.
Because we all have issues. Every one of us has issues. We all have that in common.
We love you very much. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for tuning in to What's Good with John and Joyce. So we'll catch you again next time. We pray for you and your family. And please subscribe on all the major platforms, but especially go to YouTube if you can. Subscribe. It's for free and share it with everybody.
Bye for now.